Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about some stuff. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about PlayStation 3 emulation with RPCS3. And RPCS3 just got a little bit less power hungry and better performing. So today, RPCS3 announced improvements to power efficiency were merged, allowing for a lower CPU power draw and higher performance for systems with at least 8 threads on Linux or 12 threads on Windows. And for reference, an Intel Core i5-11400 has 6 cores and 12 threads. So if you are using an older CPU, you may want to consider using Linux. And in my biased opinion, if you're using a newer CPU, you may want to consider using Linux. And speaking about Linux, next up we're talking about a handheld that doesn't use Linux. And that's the ONEXFLY, and the Indiegogo for ONEXFLY kicked off today. The ONEXFLY is a gaming handheld that features an AMD 7840U CPU. Now, taking a quick look at their Indiegogo and being fully transparent here, their prices are not necessarily the cheapest. The cheapest version of the ONEXFLY will set you back $739. That gets you 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. If you pay a little bit more here, which I would recommend in this case, you'll get 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage. And at $889, that is still pretty expensive. So if you are curious about this device, I'll link 2 helpful YouTube videos in the description below and feel free to check them out. One is from ETA Prime and the other one is from Retro Game Core. Moving on, and this one's a little bit odd. After a whole bunch of years after release, it was released back in 2008. A Vampyre Story got updated on Steam, and thank you to the person who sent me in this tip. So there was an update, a major update on July 30th, and the game is now Steam Deck verified, and it did contain a whole bunch of bug fixes. And on August 5th, it contained even more bug fixes, which is crazy. I mean, this game came out so long ago, and it's not even that expensive. And speaking about crazy, next up we're talking about wipEout. And if you're a fan of wipEout, you can now play it in your browser, 100% free. There's 2 versions available, the full version, which is 144 megabytes, and the minimal version, which is only 11 megabytes, but it doesn't contain an intro or music. So the official name for this project is wipEout Rewrite, and it is available on GitHub. I'll drop a link to everything in the description below and feel free to check it out. Next up, we're talking about 8BitDo, and 8BitDo has just unveiled the brand new retro receiver. It's a controller adapter compatible with PS1 and PS2. It'll let you use a whole bunch of Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo controllers with those systems. As far as I know, this is 1 adapter per controller, so if you wanted to have a 2-player game using 2 controllers, you'll need 2 adapters. Fortunately here they are priced fairly competitively at $25 each, and they do work with Rumble. Next up we're talking about Baldurs Gate 3, and reviews have started pouring in for this game, and it's doing really good. Really good. I mean, it's got a Metascore of 97 and a user score of 9.4, which puts it above Tears of the Kingdom with a Metascore of 96 and user score of 8.4. It's arguably one of the best reviewed games of the year. But moving on, and speaking about best reviewed, next up we're talking about a game that isn't really well reviewed, and that's Overwatch 2 on Steam. It's got a mostly negative review score right now. It's not doing so hot, and apparently it is playable on the Steam Deck, not deck verified just yet. If you played Overwatch 2 on Steam, let me know your experiences in the comments below. So if we go on ahead and take a look at the reviews, it says Overwatch 2 has no respect for you. It's an attempt to pry open your wallet while masquerading as the game it used to be. And this one here, the people who make Overwatch, I don't even need to read the rest of that. It's also in the top right hand corner. Very interesting. Moving on, and we're talking about our second game of the night that got a big update after a long period of time, and that is Quake II, and I think a lot of people are going to be excited about this one. It's a free update if you already own Quake II on Steam, which released back in 1997. In my opinion, this update is awesome. It's a great way to introduce a whole bunch of people to a really great game. and also a great way to replay a game you've probably already played a whole bunch of different times. If we take a look at the description on Steam, it says it includes the original Quake II campaign plus both mission packs, The Reckoning and Ground Zero, plus the previously Nintendo 64 exclusive Quake II 64, and the brand new Call of the Machine episode from Machine Games. On top of that, we've got improvements to gameplay, including content restored from the original development, plus visual upgrades such as dynamic shadows, improved lighting, glow maps, and more. The best part about this is that the game is still pretty cheap. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about the Samsung Galaxy S24. If you're in the market for one of these phones and you like to emulate games, especially newer systems, you may want to take note that some of these will be offered with the Exynos CPU. The Exynos CPU features a Mali GPU and doesn't really get along with stuff like Vita 3K and Yuzu. And speaking about phones, for those of you who like to use your phone in the shower, and I don't know why, or possibly while camping in the rain, and I can get behind that one, OnePlus is introducing some brand new technology here called Rainwater Touch, which makes the phone more responsive when there's water droplets on the screen. I have no idea if this is exclusive to the Ace 2 Pro, but the video is very neat. I'll drop a link to it in the description below. And last up here, we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on Android with Yuzu. And both the paid testing early access and mainline free versions got brand new updates. They've rebased them with the PC version of Yuzu. Now, I would argue that when the Android version of Yuzu rebases with the PC version of Yuzu, all Android devices benefit. This isn't necessarily an Android-specific update, so whether you've got a Mali GPU or an Adreno GPU, you'll probably benefit from this update. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.